Right. Welcome back, folks. We are absolutely delighted to be joined by Fergal O'Brien. Fergal, it's an absolute privilege to have you on here.
Thanks very much for having me.
Fergal, we'll crack into it, and I'm going to ask about Alaphilippe. Is he going to the Albert Bartlett?
That's the plan. You never want to get too cocky for the last sort of week before. Lots can happen, so you're always sort of a bit nervous, saying he'll definitely go here, he'll definitely go there, because a lot can happen. And I've been doing it long enough between my 18 years at Nigel's and sort of 9 years on my own. But yeah, that's the plan. Originally, he was meant to run on Saturday at Sandown for the EBF final, but unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, he when we were getting him qualified at Taunton, he actually ran very well. Thought the track and everything wouldn't suit him around there, but he finished a good second, beat a 130 horse, ended up going up £8 or something like that. So so that then led us on to having to go to a run in an Albert Bartlett race up at Haydock, so he bolted up in that. So all roads lead to Cheltenham now.
Yeah. And are you happy or confident with how he's been running so far? His form does look very strong, in fairness.
He's actually he's blown us away, to be fair. He's we bought him for not a lot of money. I think we paid about 20 grand for him, something. He's running 5 points. I had a chap come to the yard. He said, he wanted to dip his toe in, and so this was the lad we got for him, because we thought he was good value. He'd had the 5 runs. We ran him in a bumper first time, thinking, if he runs well, we'll just go straight on over hurdles with him, whatever. Max Kendrick gave him a lovely ride at Foss. And then we thought, well, look, he went out in the mud, so we went to air with him on heavy ground, and he's just got better and better as he's gone. I think he's had 5 runs for us and 4 wins, So, and I don't think he necessarily needs heavy ground either. I think the trip would be important to him. The other day, last day at Haydock, it was heavy and it was 3 miles. Paddy said, there was a loose horse there from early on, and what was lovely was that he had him switched off, but he was able to move him up behind to make sure he had a bit of cover in case the loose horse ducked away when they were going past the stands with a circuit to go. So, and then once he got him up there, he dropped the bridle again. So he's very straightforward, very uncomplicated, and very lucky to have him.
Yeah, and you have Oscar Honeybee entered into the Albert Bartlett as well. This is one that I quite like myself, not just for the Albert Bartlett, but in general. Is the Albert Bartlett the goal for him, or will he be swerving Cheltenham? Or
no, if he gets in, he'll go to Cheltenham. I think there is a couple of options for him. There's a Newcastle just after novice handicap, or we might even go to a straight novice back at Tox. I think it is, just in case he doesn't get in. But yeah, he was disappointed the last day at Doncaster, but he was favoured, and I think the first 4 favourites all pulled up. So Bob Hope, No Hope, which was beating him around Exeter, that pulled up as well that day. And there was another couple that pulled up. Can't think off the top of my head, but yeah. So there was 4 of them that sort of were fancy and pulled up very early. And Paddy said never happy with him on the ground. Doncaster can be a funny place. It was a second day of a 2-day meeting. It was fine the day before. Luna Sovereign won there the day before, but he just was never happy with him. So hopefully going back to Cheltenham. He ran well there in the Cheltenham in the Festival Bumper last year. So hopefully going back there, a nicer ground, spring weather. He's been in great form at home. So he'll go back there, and Conor Brace will ride him.
Yep. Alan?
Yeah, Fergal, just moving on to Imperial Alamazar in the Pertemps. He won he was impressive in the Pertemps qualifier at Warwick last time. He now heads the market with Champagne Platinum. Is he very ground dependent, and how impressed have you been with his progression this season?
We've been delighted with him. It was my fault that he ran probably not quite as expected the first time in that big Haydock handicap. I said to Paddy to have him forward, and unfortunately by having him forward, he was locked onto the bridle early on. He pulled for 2 miles, and then it was his first run, so probably blew up a little bit. And Aston ended up finishing 4th in that race. I think ran very well. But so he was probably a bit disappointing. So then we came back and we thought we'd go over fences, and then the ground sort of went everywhere and couldn't get a proper schooling team. And so we thought, well, we'll go to Warwick and stick to hurdles for now. And everything went sort of wrong at Warwick. He was a bit keen early on. Paddy had to have him right at the back. I think Tom George's horse was finished fourth behind us. He was there with him. Sam Tristan Davis was there with Paddy at the back. And, you know, he stumbled on the bend in the turn for home, lost a bit of momentum, had to come all the way around him. Once he straightened up and he locked onto the last two hurdles, yeah, he was great. So, yeah, no, really, look, we've been delighted with him. We've been delighted with him. We took him away for a gallop there last Tuesday, and he worked really, really well. So, look, you know, he's not ground dependent. Sorry to answer that question. I think he goes on any ground. He ran very well at Cheltenham last week. Got beaten by one of Dan Skelton's horses there, and had a good old tussle up the hill. And he's much sharper now this year. He's a stronger horse. He's a lot more sharp. Hopefully the race will be run to suit him. They'll go good pace, and hopefully he won't be keen, and you know, he can save his best to last. But no, we're excited about him.
Fergal, will Ask Dylan be going to the Pertamps as well with Imperial Alamazar?
Yeah, he will. Liam Harrison will ride him. He'll take the 7 off him. So yeah, he'll definitely. And Ask Dylan is a model of consistency, but unfortunately, for whatever reason, I don't know, he just didn't fire. I really fancied him at Exeter, especially when Lisnagar Oscar came out. Rebecca's horse came out. I thought, yeah, well, that really kept us low down the weights, and you know, it wasn't running, so I thought it was ours for the taking, really. And for some reason, I don't know, he just never, actually at one point with a circuit to go, I thought this lad's going to pull up, it's going to be a disaster. But to his credit, Ask Dylan, he does. Look, he just probably had an off day. We got him back. We couldn't find anything wrong with him, and Liam persevered with him, and he finished fourth, and probably got beaten by two very well handicapped horses on the day. Dan's and Pipe's horse, and Pipe's horse won it, and Dan's was second. And I think, I think it was a little bit disappointing one, but we'll put that behind us. Go to Cheltenham fresh and well.
Fergal, you've recently changed yard and the Ravenswell now, and you're absolutely firing winners out. 84 up for the season. Have you a wee target maybe to try and get the extra 16 now, bring it up to the century for the year? 85 is the target, to be honest, Dean. So, it'd be lovely if it could be next week in Cheltenham. I'll take that. No, look, we just want to keep. It's one of those things that I've been lucky enough to be involved in a big yard like Nigel Tristan Davis, and these things you just can't force. I seen a few years ago, well, many years ago, before you boys will remember, Pipe and Nichols having a great battle for a championship, and the damage they did, running horses over wrong trips, just trying to have, Willie came over a few years ago trying to win the English championship because he had a very good Cheltenham, running horses everywhere. It just doesn't, when you try and force these things, it doesn't happen. So look, the great thing would be if we could get to 100, especially this season with having missed 2 months. But the important thing is just to keep the consistency up. To get to even 84, you have to be fairly consistent most of the year to get that many winners. If there was a Cheltenham Festival in there as well, that'd be great. But look, it's just to keep having the winners. And what we'll end up with at the end of April, that'll be it. And that's what we'll if we don't get it this year, we'll aim for it next year. Yeah, and you've got a good man there in the yard, and Paddy Brennan, and you've got Conor Brace, and as you said, Liam there as well. But how influential is Paddy around the young lads as well in the yard, Fergal?
Too influential sometimes. when you want one drilled out the gate, and he's after telling them to drop it in. So no, he's very good. He got Max as well. Max Kendrick has written plenty of winners for us this year, and I think out of all of them, probably Paddy's helped Max the most. He's helped him with his riding, really well. So, but Conor and Liam are very good. But like I don't ever really give Paddy instructions. Like today, we got honeymoon. I just said to him, "What are you doing?" There's nothing going on. He said he'll make the run in hand. Is what I want. We'll discuss it. But tomorrow, Wednesday, we got Conor riding one and Paddy riding one. But Paddy will give his instructions to Conor. He'll tell him really how we want it ridden, and so I just sort of leave that. I'll leave that side to him really. He knows more about it than I do.
Yeah, and last year, Fergal, I was in Killarney and I actually met some of your team. We met Doc and a few of the others, and I always see their, trips to Perth and Killarney. Is that something that you like doing, having runners at Killarney and Perth?
Yeah, because I'm very lucky to have the Doc, and the likes of Chris Coley. So Chris Coley,
his business was hospitality and stuff. So Chris is fantastic. You know, when we've been to Killarney, Chris organised. You know, it's always been with sort of 15 or 20 people. And I have to say, Killarney and Pertlee's places that we do go. Killarney's phenomenal for us because they look after us so well. We take 3 or 4 horses over there, and it works really well because the first race is normally 4 o'clock. So, you know, they can drink all night. I'm a teetotaler, so it doesn't really affect me. But they can drink all night. They don't have to get up at the crack of dawn to rush off to the race, and they can have, you know, Killarney without racing. Killarney is a lovely place. Yeah. So you can go off and do things during the day, and then you got the racing again. And like I said, the race course really do look after us when we go over. So, and Perth, you know, the Doc loves Perth pints. So he's not confident that we'll get back there for April, but hopefully later on in the season we'll be back to Perth. And again, you know, Perth it's a great place because it's got, you know, once you've done your racing during the day, it's got great places where we can meet up with owners and go for dinner and stuff like that afterwards. And again, they really do look after us. So yeah, we're looking forward to getting back to those normal days. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like just in Killarney last year, like you would have swore you were in the middle of Answer Spain. You know, there was tables on the street, the pub doors were open, there was ice cream parlours open at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like, you know, it really had a great vibe about it. And like you can see why people would want to go there and run horses there, because it's just a fantastic place to visit in the summertime.
I know, like I was, I was sat there with my partner Sally. I think we were sat in a fish and chip shop at about 1 o'clock in the morning. It could have been 9 o'clock. You could have been boating on the water at 9 o'clock anywhere else. You know, the streets were thronged. It was people everywhere. We're all having a great time. You know, it's just music still blaring out of the 14 different pubs. You know, so just a great place. Yeah.
Yeah. Fergal, last from me, we can't let you go without having a word on the honorary assistant, Kane. How big of an influence is he around the yard whenever he pops up to visit?
Again, a bit like Paddy, too much of an influence. You hear him before you see him. Well, that's fantastic. That again is down to Paddy and to Dr. Simon who encourage all that. And you know, when he comes here, Kane, you know, Simon does look after him and takes him round and shows him, because he's a handful. He's a big lad. Yeah. And he is a handful, and you know, he takes a bit of managing, and his mum and his grandparents do a great job. But what a lovely thing for him to be able to do, and you know, he's very welcoming. He loves it here. He loves all the boys here. You know, Paddy, you know, like I said, Connor, Liam, and Max. He follows him on social media, and it's great for a lad like him, and that's what we want. That's what our yard is about. It's what Jump Prince is about, you know.
Yeah, and it's brilliant to see young folks, you know, at such a young age like him getting so involved in it, and you can see it really, you know, whenever Paddy Brennan is a winner, like, you know, you can see it really spurs him on.
Oh yeah, I was there. I was with him, stood with him today. There was a little bit of a clip on social media, and Paddy won a winner for us at Warwick one day. Like, he's shaking with excitement, you know, as he's watching the race unfold. It's, you know, it's expression, and then, you know, when Paddy comes to take it up, or even if Paddy's not getting there, it's a real passion. You know, it's not something that's he wouldn't even know there was a phone camera pointing at him. You know, he's just so in that zone, and that's what it's been like for him watching all this racing while he's been home. He's had to go back to school today, though, so he's not very happy. So
yeah, I'd say Boris Johnson isn't his best friend now, anyway, after
no, he's not. No, yeah. Definitely been crossed off the Christmas card list.
I'll pass you back there now.
Thanks.
Alan?
If we move on to just looking at the Birdles. Elham Valley's entered in that. I was impressed with his run when he was fourth with Dadju in the Grade 1 at Chepstow. Is he likely to go to the Birdles?
We think we got a 6 to come out, I think it is. So I think he's in at Sandown as well on Saturday. But I think if he looks like getting in, Paddy thinks he could run a good race, and if, you know, the race will be run to suit him and get carried along in it. His Sandown form was very good. And I would love to see him give it a go, really. You know, I think we've actually even improved him a little bit since his last run at Haydock when he was third, beating a long way, but it was a very good race. There's only 4 runners in there. He's very straightforward, and you know, we're going to get a bit of rain as well, so that will suit him as well.
Yeah, and just while we're on a Cheltenham chat, but talk about perfect candidate. He was a 3-time Cheltenham winner, but unfortunately not at the festival. He was a great servant for the yard. How is he since retirement?
you wouldn't know the difference. I think he spent the last 7 or 8 years in retirement, to be fair. He only ever did as much as he wanted to do. So yeah, he's been a massive himself, and a lovely horse, Bradley, Alvarado, Perfect Canada, and Creevy Tenant were the 4 horses that probably carried us along for a few years. When we'd be having sort of maybe 25, 30 winners, those boys would turn up at Cheltenham, or they'd win a big handicap somewhere, so I owe them a lot, especially Perfect Canada as well. He's been, Jeff and Donna Keys have been fantastic owners for me. Jeff's helped set up the business and helped us get going, and they've always been there for us, so we haven't got any plans for him in retirement. He'll always have a home here, so he'll lead the babies, or he'll get the young staff going, jumping, or whatever he needs to do. But he's enjoying himself in the field at the minute.
Yeah, just one final one from me, Fergal. Just normally after Cheltenham, I know one thing that I look forward to on the Saturday is you have the Midlands National. I see Final Nudge is entered in the Midlands National. He's going to have a second run for you since still leaving David Dennis. Is his aim to run there and then on to the Grand National?
He's not entered in the national, so it's just he will go from he'll go to Uttoxeter. That's the plan. He did a great bit of work last week at Uttoxeter, at Lambourne last Tuesday, and we're delighted with him. His first run for us, we were over the moon with that, because we hadn't had him that long. And when he came, he was, we weren't sure how far we were going to go, and his owner January said, look, there's absolutely no pressure to run this lad. He's one of our favourites. Look, unless you're happy with him, don't run him. So, I was thinking, wasn't really sure, but he trained well, and we were happy with him. And Paddy gave him a lovely ride, and actually he jumped across fence at Wincanton and sent him down the straight. And Paddy thought going to the 4th last, he thought she's going to nearly win this, and landed over the back of the 3rd last and just took a big blow. And so from there on, Paddy just sort of nursed him home, and it was important to get him home having a blow without bottoming him out as well. So there was a lot of nice horses pulled up behind him that day as well. We think he'll improve a lot. So Paddy's really looking forward to riding him at Uttoxeter.
Yeah, and you're back to Ryan.
Yeah.
I think he'd go on most grounds, to be fair, but yeah, softer the better for him, I think.
Fergal, anyone who follows your Twitter will know there's the love for cake. Do you whip out a special cake for Cheltenham, or?
No, get a lot of Victoria sponge. In the normal times, we're not in normal times, so it's hard. It's hard at the minute. We still get people send us cake. People, get cake in the post. Owners, people who follow us on social media, sort of feeling sorry for us, thinking we're going to start a dentist or something. That won't happen for a while. So no, we're very lucky that we get plenty of cake. But yeah, it's all part of it. We're looking forward to inviting people back. Normal Saturdays for us, we were getting sort of get 7 or 8 cakes here, and none go to waste. We go down, the lads would have it, and people take a bit home and other stuff. So we're looking forward to those days coming back.
Yeah, and there's an ongoing, I suppose, debate, if you want to call it, about a horse in your yard. Just want a bit of clarity on this. Is the horse called Polish or Polish?
I call him Polish.
Polish.
So, but he's owner when I speak to him. One day I'll call him Polish, another day I'll call him Polish. So I'll call him what you like. But that was, again, that was down to the brilliance of Simon. That when he won at Newbury, he just got all that Twitter stuff. He just said it alight. How you want to pronounce on a text message. It was great. It was mad. But yeah, that's how clever the man is.
Yeah.
And then, just speaking of names, where did the name for Billy the Squid come from?
Billy was already named when he came to us, so I actually don't really know. We've got some worse names than Billy the Squid, I can tell you. We got the turtle set in Wizard Sleeve. You can look them up. The turtle set anyway, or the Wizard Sleeve anyway. So yeah. So I'm not sure Billy. I'm not sure where Billy the Squid came from. Yeah.
Is the Wizard Sleeve actually still in your yard?
She unfortunately she's not only in our yard, but she's in our ownership. My partner Sally is there, who insisted that we get her in foal. So she had a foal by Passing Glance. Who's, what do we call him?
No one call it Snatchy Glance.
Snatchy Glance.
Not sure we'll get away. I'm not sure we'll get away with that once you Google Wizards League. Anyway, snatch your glance, yeah, or yeah. So yeah, he's actually done it at David Brace's stud. So she is now. Is she getting full to Ask?
She's getting covered.
She's going to get covered by
this
Ask
week or
now,
next
yeah.
week.
So that's where the Wizards League is costing me money.
Yeah, that's it for me. Anyway, boys, anything else?
No, that's it for me too. Yeah.
Thanks for having us on, boys. We'll look forward to seeing you in Killarney, maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Definitely. We'll all be there anyway.
Cheers. Thanks
Fergal.
very much. Take
Thanks.
care.
Thanks.
Cheers. Bye bye.